In an effort to unpack childhood emotions that I never let out and show y'all a side of myself that you don't quite get to see, I present to you the Jhene Aiko Experience. Alright, so boom, the scene is 2011. I'm 6 months into middle school, trying to adjust to private school, being a minority, working like a dog, and everything in between. The weight of the world is on my shoulders as a young bull, and I'm just trying to survive. Alright y'all, so this is post-Christmas. I had just gotten my first phone right after Christmas, and this is basically a sign of growth, you know. This is the part that they don't talk about, where you get your first phone, and what that meant for me was that I finally got to stop listening to the music off my brother's old iPod. And I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, that Frank Ocean, that A$AP Rocky, it was doing me well. Like, it turned me into the A$AP Rocky and Frank Ocean fans that I was at that time. But I needed to graduate, I needed to become my own person, I needed to discover myself and my own music choices, and I feel like this was really the first step. But I just wanted to say, growing up where I grew up, like, being thrown into the suburbs, it was really something that I struggled with in terms of knowing what side of myself I would show and what side I wouldn't. Like, should I show who I am, or should I show where I'm from? This became a lot harder when I stumbled upon the masterpiece that is Sailing Souls. I'm not even sure how or where I came across this album, but all I know is that it provided me with something that I needed at the time, like a sense of self, a sense of something greater, you know, something I enjoyed. In a time where all I cared about was being popular, trying to be what I thought was cool, I could have never imagined how life-changing the door I was about to walk through would be. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure if I ever really listened to this album in totality, because at the time I wasn't really that much of a Jhene fan, but I definitely had a couple of the songs in rotation. Fast forward to 2013 and the streets is oh so hot with a couple of Jhene tracks, y'all. Like, not gonna lie, if I'm going off of when I think I could call myself a real Jhene fan, it had to be during the time I discovered this track. It's classified as pop on Google, but this song feels more like a suspenseful movie to me. I think more than the lyrics themselves, I feel the pauses, I feel the emotion, I feel the unseen, and I feel the unsaid. And I had to pull up the YouTube to MP3 for this one, because it was my new favorite song. Around the same time, she dropped a music video for The Worst, and I was definitely one of them ones singing about the heartbreak that I had never been through, bro. I'm not gonna lie, like, I connected to it. I don't know what, maybe it was just her voice, but I was one of them ones who was, I don't need you, I don't need
my ears burn.
Funny enough though, the most defining song for me that year actually was not from that album. The most defining song for me was actually from another album, the Jhene Experience. Alright y'all, so earlier I talked about going to private school and struggling to adjust to the environment and not really knowing which side of myself I could embrace. And I'm gonna be truthful, y'all. Drake and Gambino will always be two icons that help me discover who I am and help me discover that I don't have to put myself in a box. I don't have to have just one identity. Like, I know it's cool to hate, but I think definitely at that time, like, those two were doing something, at least for me, that I hadn't heard of. And I'm young, so maybe other people did it, but for me, it really changed the game. So what these two did for me is they reminded me that I am who I am, but there's always gonna be more to me than what you see. And they also let me know that although I don't fit a certain mold, although I'll never be as popular as I wanted to be, although I'll never be as good as basketball as I wanted to be, just all the stereotypical things of, you know, a black man, that I deserved a place in this world and that there is a place for me. And that was something that I really appreciated. And all that goes to say, the most popular track for me during this time period, the one that got the most spin, was none other than From Time. I can still rattle off that intro like off memory, you know. What's up? Been a minute since we kicked it, you been caught. Nah, but for real though, this is one of those tracks that just stuck with me throughout the years. Like, I always joke with my girlfriend about how I don't actually listen to lyrics in half of the songs that I listen to. I just listen to the beat, I just listen to the production, I just kind of vibe out, you know, I just kind of vibe with whatever's going on in the background. But for me, for this one, come on, like, you couldn't ignore it. You couldn't ignore that you give, but you cannot take love. Like, I hadn't even sniffed love at the time, and I was out there singing my heart out. I was ready to get it tatted. Like, best believe this was in my Instagram bio, all that. Okay, so fast forward to 2018. I'm in the 8th grade. I made the basketball team. My grades is cool. You know, life is working out. And I had just discovered Menace to Society. I'm real life trying to cosplay my life like I'm Kane. Like I got the internal dialogue in my head, you know, people asking me questions and me answering. Like I swear I'm on the way to being him. That was the goal at the time. I was a young black boy being influenced by, you know, the generation before me. Like all that went down the drain though when Jhene dropped this album right here. Time out. I just knew the streets wasn't gonna allow me to be rolling down the block blasting Lion King. Like I just knew that wasn't flying, so I had to listen to it. I had to listen to it in the cut, just sneak it. Nah, but for real though, up until this point in time, this was by far one of my favorite Jhene albums of all time. Like Promises, The Pressure, Waiting, Lion King, like she wasn't missing. I could tell that she really put her heart and soul into this track, and I felt every piece of it. Alright y'all, so this is the side note, but I was so in disbelief that everyone didn't see what I was seeing at the time that I just decided to go to Snapchat at 3 in the morning when the videos first came out, and I posted like black videos of just me listening to this track and just did the little like 3 a.m. timestamp. And people were looking at me like I'm crazy. I had my friends sliding up like, bro, are you good? Like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, no, I'm good. What's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with y'all? Cause y'all asleep right now. I'm clearly woke. I'm trying to get y'all on. But all I had to say, I was really riding hard for her, and I've always been one of those people who's trying to bridge people onto my music, bridge people onto who I am and what I see. So I was already doing the work way before Stans was even a thing. Honestly, I don't listen to it as much at this time, but Ways really carried me through high school. Like it carried me through that period of life. Even as a kid, I knew I was working towards something that would somehow be worth it, but I never really knew what it was or what it was gonna be. It was so easy to feel lost in these moments because you kind of feel like you don't really have a reason to keep going. You just get so caught up in waking up every day, going to sleep, and letting life pass you by. I don't know if that was anybody else's high school experience, but that was definitely mine. Leaving middle school and entering high school, I definitely hadn't mastered the concept of living life versus letting life pass me by. And more than anything, this song gave me hope. Even though no one was gonna be able to convince me that everything will be okay, I felt so good just to hear her say it. Like no matter whether I believed it or not, just to hear that, for me, that changed it changed my whole mindset. It changed my whole outlook. It gave me that little bit of hope that I needed to just keep going. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, like externally, nothing changed, right? Like the next 2 years probably became even more harder rather than easier. But I just think that this song gave me a real chance to like make it through. And if nothing else, it just gave me something to listen to on that 40-minute car ride home. Like y'all don't know, I was going through it. This one is the tough one. So I was a fresh 16 when this song dropped. My great grandmother had just passed and I didn't really know how to feel. I knew all too well that things wouldn't be the same. My great grandmother was the living root of the family tree that I had always had growing up. And I always felt like if she were to leave this earth, then we would all exist as separate branches. And it kind of hurt me to think about that. Like it hurt me to think that one day my family would exist separated. And I have a huge family, so the one person who drew us together wasn't there. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall. When she finally passed, nobody was quite surprised, as she was 90. She lived a long life, she lived a good life. Everyone kind of couldn't be like too hurt or too upset. But for me, it was like really tearing me apart on the inside. Like I felt like it was the beginning of the end. Alright y'all, so funny enough, somebody I was beefing with at the time put me onto this. And I'm not really sure if this was my first time listening to it, but a memory that I'll never forget is being in the back of my mom's car the day of the funeral, just listening to this and just tearing up. I couldn't really let the emotions pour out of me in this moment, and I really felt like I was too old to cry. And I don't know if it was something about that hard image I was trying to portray, or just that I couldn't really allow myself to be seen like that, but I just held it all in. And you know, I let myself tear up a tiny bit, but I couldn't really let it out in front of everyone. So 2 hours later, I'm sitting in the third row amongst all of my family, and I'm on the verge of breaking down because all those emotions I was trying to hold in, you know, the funeral came and they were just pushing up against that wall even more and more and more. But one thing I did is I just kept it in, like I said before, and I don't know, it was just something I started to realize that I've become way too good at over the years. Just, internalizing everything I'm feeling, not letting it out. It wasn't until later that night that I could, chill in the basement by myself, just vibe out, finally be alone, that I felt like I was in a place to let these emotions out. So what I did was I waited for everyone to go to sleep. I played the song, I laid down on the couch, and I just stared at the ceiling, and I waited for all that emotion to come out now that I'm in the right time, the right place, the right setting. And the funny thing is, it never did. All those emotions that I was, keeping cramped up inside me, that I was too scared to show, I kind of felt like once I finally got to the right time, the right place, I could finally let that cry out. I could finally just do what I needed to do to get that closure. And when I finally decided that it was the right time, that I could let it all out, it just wasn't really there. And the funniest part is, more than anything, that made me ashamed. Like, I think more than not crying at the funeral, more than not being able to not being proud enough to show my emotions, show how much I love my great grandmother, I think the fact that even when I got to the point where I was, by myself and I couldn't do it, that was the one that I realized looking back, that really made me feel like I messed up somewhere. Alright, so fast forward a couple months later, I'm in a new school year and things just aren't well. My confidence is at an all-time low. School is harder than it's ever been, and I feel like the prophecy of my family, becoming separated is just being fulfilled. Like, I feel like everything is just going bad. My sister's in college, so that 40-minute ride is just me and my mom. And to tune out everything else in the world and to just get ahead on a little bit of homework while I can just, lock in and focus on something, I start to play this album. Now, funny enough, during this time period, I didn't have any paid for streaming service, so I just had to get it out the mud and hit shuffle on Spotify, hoping they didn't switch up the songs halfway through. What it played out as was me listening to this album every single day in the car on the ride home. Like, undoubtedly, this is my most listened to album of all time. Every chance I got, I was bumping this album. At school, on the way home, in the shower, everywhere I could. Like, I probably accounted for 200,000 streams alone this year. That was me. My most listened to song on this album was without a doubt Nobody. I've never dealt with addiction in the way that Jhene has, but I always felt like I could relate to every single emotion that this song is meant to make someone feel. I was so motivated in school during this time, and I was working towards building a better life for myself, and one day finally making something of myself, and I just felt like I was in that fight alone. Like, I didn't really care about how much anyone helped me. I didn't really care about what they wanted for me. I didn't really care about anything else in the world. I just felt like no one should have an idea of what I should or shouldn't do, because I'm in this fight alone. Like, this is my life. Like, nobody's gonna be here with me. I'm by myself. I'm gonna bear the consequences of whatever happens, so nobody should be pushing me towards any path. And at the end of the day, I was one of those teens, I felt like nobody knew what I was going through. Like, as cliche as it sounds, I was so motivated in school at this time. Like, I was working towards building a better life for myself, and one day finally making something of myself that I could be proud of. But I also really felt like I was in this fight alone. I didn't care what people did to help me. I didn't really care what people wanted for me. I didn't really care what people thought about me, because I felt like I'm in this life alone. It's only me working to reap the fruits of my benefits. It's only me bearing the consequences of whatever decision I make. And I felt like anything that I wanted in my life was gonna be for me, by me. And it's kind of sad to think, because like, you have such a selfish mindset, or at least I did at the time. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it also was just a sign of like how alone I really felt at the time, where I felt like I couldn't really share success with somebody else. Alright, y'all, so Trip submitted itself as my Go album, and it gave me one of my favorite tracks of all time in the form of Nobody. But for my number 2 track, we gotta transition to the last Jhene album, which I listened to, which is none other than Chilombo. Alright, y'all, so I gave this album a couple of spins, and I gotta admit, I wasn't really feeling it. But I gotta say, one track that had me in a chokehold, that had me thirsty, that had me begging for more.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Surrender. I'm gonna be the first to say, if you know, you know. I remember commenting this on Jhene's music video, right? Like she came out with the Surrender music video. I'm on my little YouTube account and I'm commenting like, hey, this is the best song on the album. The real one's gonna know. Tell me why that blew up. I had 900 likes. Like my first viral tweet wasn't even on Twitter. Like I promise you, I was going into all the tracks of being a stan without even knowing it. Like now I'm out here just, I say one thing, now all the people hopping on me. People in the comments like, yeah, you go, girl. I'm like, what? I'm just a fan, bro. Like what? But regardless, this song is one of the most surreal, serene Jhene songs that I have ever heard. Like with the right headphones, I can forget where I am. I can real life travel to another dimension. Like I really understand what people say when I listen to this, and they say this song is transporting me to a different place, to a different universe. That's me. I wish I could say more about this song, but it's really just indescribable. What you all have to do is you have to play the song, put in your headphones, and just let Jhene do what she does best. Just let her go to work. So lastly, this is one that I should have spoke on a long time ago, but I wanted to give it its proper space. My Mind. It's crazy, out of all the songs I listened to, this is her earliest one, but it's the one I really didn't even start paying attention to until high school. I don't know if I wasn't mature enough. I don't know if I just was too young to really understand the emotion and the depth that song was going in, but it came to me a little later, I won't lie. It's crazy to see that this song is 4 minutes long because it feels so short, and maybe that's just because I can never truly get enough. I'm no musical expert in any form, but I feel like I've never ever heard anything like this beat before, along with the combination of her vibe, her lyrics, like everything she says just allowed me to feel everything that's going on in this song. Like the background, the drums, I don't know any instruments, but I would just say this song makes me feel like no other song I've ever heard in my life. The part that always gets me is that part at the end of the first verse where she goes, you let me fall. Like it's something about the way that she says that makes me feel the saddest emotion in a person that you could ever really feel. It's like I'm reaching my hand out to be rescued, like I'm drowning, like I'm falling and someone's right there, but like the connection just doesn't happen. And as you're falling, like that's the last thought in your mind. You're like, wow, like how could you let this happen to me? It's crazy because this song isn't in any way connected to any specific part of my life. Like I don't think anything was really going on when I discovered this song or going on when I first fell in love with this song, but it's something that stuck with me throughout the years. Like just the emotion, just the vibe, just everything about it has always, had me feeling like I could fall back on this song if I'm having like one of those days where I just need something to pick me up. Like, and funny enough, it's a sad song, so you don't really think of it as a pick me up, but for me, this song doesn't put me in a bad place. Like it doesn't really remind me of those hard times. It doesn't really remind me of the hard times that she was going through. But when I play this song, I just sit back and, it's another way in which I just let Jhene do what she does. Like I listen to the atmosphere, I listen to the background music, I listen to the way her voice just flows through the beat. And it gives me a certain amount of dopamine, crazy enough. Like, all right, y'all, so all in all, this is my Jhene Aiko experience. I'm not sure if she's had as much of an impact on y'all as she's had on me, but one thing I would say is that you cannot tell my story without including her and the way her music has impacted me. Like, I feel like her music is a part of my life story at this time. So, hey, y'all drop a comment if you feel the same way. If you don't, tell me what you thought of the video. Tell me about some Jhene songs that are your favorites. Tell me which ones I missed. Just tell me what you think. Drop a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you're new. Other than that, I love y'all. Peace out. Have a great one.